Here we are, Season 1, Episode 1. In today's episode, we're traveling all the way to Ruwa, Zimbabwe, in Africa. What are we going to talk about? You're just going to have to find out. Some really weird stuff, some stuff in the sky, some stuff on the ground. Uh-oh. Who's that? What's that? Uh-oh. Guess you're just going to have to find out. I know. I've got you so excited right now. You're hanging on a thread. Get ready. Welcome to Episode 1 of I'm Scared, but I Like It. Oh my god, guys. Welcome to the first episode.
Hey, what's up?
Oh my god, we're so excited right now.
Welcome. Welcome to the show, which is called I'm Scared, but I Like It. I thought you were going to say it with me, so I was saying
I'm sorry.
I'm scared, but I like
Let's try it
it.
again. Okay.
No.
Okay, let's try it again.
I'd rather not.
Oh, okay. Well, here it goes anyway. Welcome to I'm Scared,
but I Like It.
I like it. Wow, that was pretty bad. Okay.
Oh boy. Okay.
That's okay. Keep that in there. That'll be good.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. If you listened to our introduction episode, thank you for coming back, period.
Mm-hmm.
We do appreciate that. We want to first shout out our thanks to our sponsors, Libby and Fern. Libby is my cat in residence, and Fern is also my god cat child. And she resides with Julianne on her end. So,
and if you forgot, that's Chloe who's talking right now.
Oh yes, I'm Chloe.
I'm Julianne.
That's
Hey.
true. Hey.
As you may know from the number of episodes that we have, or by this being number 1, we're just starting out and we are expanding our presence across the internet. We do have an Instagram. You can find us at ISBILI Pod, ISBILI. It sounds like IKEA furniture, but it actually stands for I'm Scared, but I Like It. Hopefully in the future we will reclaim the full username I'm Scared, but I Like It, and you'll just be able to search that. Right now it's ISBILI Pod. We also have a Facebook. If you search I'm Scared, but I Like It, you will find us there. We have a YouTube as well. It is called I'm Scared, but I Like It. If you look in the description of the show, you will find links to all of these different things. And if you feel so inclined to support us financially, check out our Ko-fi. We will link that as well. If you would like to, quote unquote, buy us a coffee and help us support the research that we do for the show. Also, we do intend to share more of our listener stories. If our listeners have interesting stories with the paranormal or the supernatural or UFOs or what have you, please feel free to email us at imscaredbutilikeit@gmail.com if you're cool with us sharing your story with everybody else. What are we talking about today?
Well, that is the question. On today's episode, we are going to discuss something very strange, something very peculiar, something that has happened in a very beautiful and interesting place. But first, before we go into that, Julianne, do you believe in the existence of UFOs?
Well, I feel like this is a multifaceted question. I guess in short, I'll say yes. Do you want a long answer or you want just the short answer?
I want the answer, the true answer, the long answer.
So clearly there are unidentified flying objects. We have recordings of things that we're not 100% sure about. So in that sense, yes, I do believe. Do I believe in extraterrestrials? Yes, absolutely. I think statistically we can't deny the fact that there's other life out there somewhere. We're in a big place, the universe. When we're talking about UFO stories, people being abducted, That kind of thing. That's where I sit more on the fence, and I'm a little more unsure about who is telling the truth, who is, misrepresenting what they experienced intentionally or unintentionally, if you get my drift.
Right. Okay. For me, I definitely believe that UFOs exist because it just means unidentified flying object.
Yeah.
Which there's a bunch of those, and especially with the government releasing that video footage and admitting that there's a lot of stuff they don't know about,
Mm-hmm.
and that there are flying objects out there, that further corroborates that. So I would say yes, I definitely believe in UFOs because at this point, if you don't, I don't know. It's just it doesn't mean that it has to be extraterrestrial. It's just an unidentified object in the sky.
Yeah.
Do I believe in alien life? Hell yeah. Yeah. Statistically, to me, it's far more likely that there is other life out there in our universe. Hopefully in our own galaxy. But
Fingers
we don't
crossed.
know. Yeah, fingers crossed. There's a lot of, habitable planets with water on it that could support life potentially. So why not? To me, the statistics are just way too convincing for me. Do I believe that alien life has visited our planet or is currently here? I don't know. Honestly, I kind of think so. But I also think that a lot of the stories we hear could be something else, or it could be the government, or, there's a lot of speculation that these UFOs or these alien encounters, people are seeing something that looks like aliens, but it's humans dressed up as them, like experimenting or trying to spread like paranoia or fear about extraterrestrials for whatever reason. And obviously I don't have any evidence on that, but it is an interesting theory. So I wonder if it's a little bit of everything.
I'm sure it's, a fun mix.
Yeah, and the truth is probably something that we're not expecting, I think. And before we get into our story, one more question. When you were a child, did you have a vivid imagination?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Like what?
I mean, I was like the ringleader of like a group of neighborhood rascals, and I was in charge of crafting the like imaginary games that we would play.
That's such a Capricorn move.
Oh my God. Wow. Yeah. Like a real life dungeon master. I don't play D&D, but I'm sure I could if I wanted to with my vivid imagination.
And your leader skills.
My leadership skills.
And did you ever think that you saw something strange, or that you could have imagined something strange because maybe you just wanted to have fun?
Oh yeah, I would make up all sorts of spooky stories and freak myself out.
Was it always just you, or did you ever convince other people that they were seeing the same thing?
Yeah, yes, to the latter. I remember at my elementary school, at the outskirts of like the field where we had recess, there was a fence that was mostly like covered in vines and trees, and you couldn't see through it, but like there was one part where you could like peek through the fence, and there was like a house, and so I kind of crafted some sort of whole story about this like haunted house, and me and my friends would crowd around this little thing hoping to spot something from the haunted house. So we were all in on it. Yeah,
me too. There was like this log that was a strange log, and it was down like this hill thing, and I always thought it was like some creepy cryptid or something, and all of us would just freak ourselves out, but I knew it wasn't, but I'd be like, oh my God, look, it moved, and then it was just a log, and I know it's just a log. But okay, Well, thank you for sharing that. And now we travel to the country of Zimbabwe in the continent of Africa. It is bordered by Mozambique, South Africa, Botswana, and Zambia. According to Wikipedia, Zimbabwe is known for its beautiful parks, reserves, safari areas, and amazing wildlife. In the heart of Zimbabwe is the capital of Harare, a beautiful, shining city. Next to this city is a place called Ruwa, which is where our story takes place. On September 16th, 1994, almost 100 students at Ariel Primary School in Ruwa, Zimbabwe, saw something that they'll never forget. During a break, the kids were out on the playground hanging out, and the teachers were inside having a meeting. And everything was normal until the teachers started to notice strange noise coming from the playground. It just seemed louder and more chaotic than usual. So the teachers make their way outside to find the students in a frenzy, freaking out, screaming, scared. And so the teachers call them back in immediately. And when they sit them down, they ask, what happened? What did you all see? And as some were shocked with silence, some of them said, we saw a UFO. We saw something shiny in the trees. There was something in the trees. There were people in the trees. And so the next day, the teachers had all the students from each grade draw what they saw. And Julian, this is where I want to show you what they drew.
These are the actual drawings.
This is one of them.
Okay.
Julianne, can you describe what you see in this one?
That is certainly a gray alien standing next to some sort of saucery UFO. Or it literally just looks like a tray with like a lid over it, like when you get breakfast in bed.
Or, you know what? It kind of looks like the bell that you hit
Ding,
on like the
ding.
counter. It's like ding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Here's the next one.
Okay. I think those are supposed to be trees.
That's correct.
They look
Those
like
are trees.
spoons.
Wow. Brutal. Wow.
Sorry, kids. And that's certainly a saucer UFO standing on two little leggies, sitting in between the trees.
Okay. What about this one?
Yeah, that is the same saucer UFO in the trees, and there's some sort of figure in front of it. Can't tell if that's meant to be like a self-portrait admiring the UFO or if it's an alien. Right. Unclear. Shadowy figure, I'll say.
Okay, and here's some of the same drawings, but a few more. Hold on.
It looks like some more saucers. We got more saucers. We got more weirdos. Weird little people.
Oh, don't look at that.
That's a different one. Don't look at that. Okay.
Don't look at that. That's for later.
Okay, that's a secret. I didn't see anything.
Good. So, would you say that, and there's way more drawings, those were just a few, but most, if not all of the drawings had the same commonalities. The first being a spacecraft surrounded by trees.
Mm-hmm.
The second being beings or some type of creature or humanoid in spacesuits, or I wouldn't say spacesuits, in black suits. And the third being many lights being towards the bottom of the craft. And so, Julianne, what do you think about this?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So were the kids all separated when they were doing these drawings? Or were they like sitting in a room? Because I mean, when I was in school, I was looking at other kids' papers. You know what I mean? Like, I thought it was very sneaky.
It was every class. So, yes, they were in their classes, but it was from different grades as well.
Okay.
And they all drew this on the same day after this event.
Is interesting.
Yes. And so now I want to segue into a clip of the kids being interviewed about what they saw.
There's been a UFO alert across southern Africa.
This is a continuation of possible UFO story.
A large, brightly coloured object was seen travelling very fast above Zimbabwe, Zambia and South Africa.
I thought
Three
it was
countries.
an alien, and he had big eyes.
Several planes saw it. The experts are baffled.
Ruwa, Ariel School, 19th September 94, 12:12 local time. Could you tell me what you saw on Friday?
Well, it looked like it was like glinting in the trees. Like it looked like roundabout like a disc, like a round.
Are you sure it
Yeah.
wasn't a Harrier jump jet or
No,
something that the Zimbabwe Air
It
Force
was
have
like
got?
in a disc.
Kind of like that.
I saw something silver on the ground amongst the trees, and a person in black.
They had big black eyes. That's all I saw. I saw a glimpse. They kind of turned around and stared and then went back into a kind of like ship.
I saw this silver thing in amongst this clump of trees with this one thing sitting on the side and another thing sort of like running up and down the top.
What does he look like?
His face was like this and his eyes were down here.
Mr. Mackey, you're headmaster of Ariel School. Tell me, what do you think of all this?
I feel sure that the children feel that they did see something. We asked them to draw pictures of what they saw on Friday, and after looking at those, I definitely feel that they did see something.
What do you think that was?
I agree that it could be something that we are not common with, but to actually say that it was a UFO, I would be reluctant to make a decision like that.
Diplomatic.
So this part, you can probably pause. This is just other people around the area also seeing strange things in the sky around the same time. But that's later
That
in
is
the episode.
very interesting to me.
What?
The fact that it was seen not just, like something was seen, not just in
Yeah.
this context.
So as you can see or hear,
Hearing them talk about it is different. I don't know, like, and I'm somebody who never trusts children. I've taught a lot of children.
shit, that's a little
I've taught a lot of
savage.
children. They're very fun and fancy free. And I don't know. So hearing them talk about it was very interesting to me. I don't
Okay,
know.
well, I was not expecting that reaction from you. I'm very pleased with that reaction right now. But yeah, it does make a difference from hearing about it and, because my skeptical mind at first is like, oh, come on, But then when
Yeah.
you hear the interviews, you see the place, you have context, it seems like they're telling the truth. Like they really did see something.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like, oh, we're just, trying to play around and pull a prank. It was hundreds, excuse me. I think it was less than 100 students who saw it, but they still all saw something. And what's even more strange is that some of them that day fainted
Oh, that's
from
odd.
from fright, and also reported nightmares
Okay.
within the next few weeks, and also was showing signs of trauma.
Wow.
Right. So to me, whether they saw something extraterrestrial or not, they saw something. You don't just, whenever I used to play with my friends and, play pretend or imagine something, I wouldn't freaking faint and have to go to the hospital.
I mean, it's hard. We have examples throughout history of people, even adults, working themselves up into hysterias. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. That makes me still somewhat on the fence. But something about, there was one girl who said, I only saw like a glimpse, like while he was, something about that is very interesting to me, because I feel like it's very childlike to be like, oh yeah, like I saw I saw this and like he did this and that or whatever. But like it feels more realistic, that moment of like I can only catch it for a second, but I think I saw this. I don't know, that girl I trust. Maybe.
Yeah, she seems legit.
But fainting is weird. Fainting is strange. Nightmares is less weird to me because I can freak myself out now, you know what I'm saying? Like, so children freaking themselves out isn't that weird to me, but trauma and fainting is interesting.
Yes, and when they were being interviewed by a researcher, Cynthia Hines, who came to the school, she's a UFO enthusiast, and she came to the school and sat down with all the students, interviewed them, and I will play a clip of that for you in a moment. But the kids expressed that they were sad and upset that their parents and their teachers didn't believe them. They felt like their story wasn't being believed, and that was very frustrating for them and hurtful. And it just seems a little too real to me, all the nuances of it. But I want to go ahead and play this clip for you.
We were playing down over there on the log.
Yeah?
And then we saw something shiny, so we all ran down over there.
And it was in the early morning?
It was at break time.
Yeah?
And then we saw something shiny. And we saw two people. They were in tight black suit. And they had big eyes. And we didn't actually see their nose. It was quite small. And their mouth was quite small as well. One of them was running in slow motion up across the ship. And the other one was standing beside the ship.
Yeah, you made a drawing, huh? It looked like this?
No, yeah, something like that. I couldn't see the eyes or the nose or the mouth. It was just blank.
I want to transition now into what the children saw, like different children saw. Like out of all the interviews I've watched, out of all the things I've read, I wrote down things that they saw.
Okay.
So many, if not all, describe the beings that look quite the same. So slit for a mouth, or a very small mouth, small features, big slanted dark eyes. And pretty much most, if not all, the stories also mention the black suit that they were wearing. Most of the stories mention one being standing on top of the ship, and a lot of those drawings too that I've seen during all this research, there is one on top and then there's one on the side or in the front of it. One kid said that the beings looked confused. One said that they had hair, but that seems to be one of the only reports that mentioned hair. So I'm not really sure what that means.
Now I have questions about the suit. Like, is it just on the body? Does it wrap around the head? What's going on with the suit?
So they said that it's a tight suit, a tight black suit, and I think it ends at the neck.
Okay.
Yeah. They said it was so shiny that they thought it was like just a glass house somehow that they never noticed, that was just glinting in the sunlight. But when it moved, they realized, oh my God, that's not a house. That looks like a metallic form, like a saucer, or some of them described the craft itself as like a cigar or cigarette shape.
Oh, okay.
Which is a common shape in UFO ufology. So based on all of the reports, the height of the aliens would be, or the beings, excuse me, I just assumed they were aliens, or
Please
about
don't label them.
3, yeah, I know, I'm so sorry, 3.5 to 4 feet tall, around that. I'm not really sure how they calculated that, but that seems to be
how tall are children? They like 4 or 5?
Yeah, I think they're about 3 to 4 feet too.
3 to 4 feet. Okay.
So maybe same, but they saw this thing at a distance, so I'm not really sure how much that checks out.
How would you know, kids? Come on.
Most of them say that they were very skinny. Another couple peculiar things about this story is that during the time of the event, within that week, other people in the area reported seeing red and orange lights in the sky.
That's fucked up. That's crazy.
Right. And so this adds an interesting layer to the story because it's not just an isolated incident that maybe kids just pretended about. There's other witnesses, although the kids didn't see red and orange lights per se, or balls of unidentifiedness, I suppose you could say. It is strange that there was a pickup in UFO sightings at the time. And granted, maybe there was a kid who heard about these UFO sightings, and then when they saw it at school, they were like, oh, is that a UFO? Is that what a UFO looks like? What am I looking at? And then maybe it just turned out to be one, or maybe they all freaked out. But we'll get into that in a minute. And the second weird thing is that some of the kids, not all of them, but some of them reported hearing in their mind's ear, I suppose, telepathically, hearing messages that felt foreign to them. Like,
wait, the kids who saw the thing?
Yeah. And when they were witnessing this event, they recall receiving telepathic messages about technology and about the earth and how we need to be more careful with our technology. We need to stop abusing it, and we need to take care of our planet because we're destroying it.
Interesting.
And it's strange that like kids would come up with such a sophisticated thing to say.
Yeah, I'm like, are they all young activists? Like,
I don't think they are.
Like the greatest. Like,
I think they were literally
viral
just
moment of 1994. Yeah.
I think they were just at recess and just wanted to have a break from class, and then they saw this thing that they can't explain, and then some of them received these strange messages about technology, and to me that sounds very difficult to make up on the spot for children, at least.
Now I have so many questions.
Right. And so have you ever seen the show Expedition Unknown with Josh Gates?
No, never.
On the Travel Channel?
No.
Or it might be Discovery now, sorry. But anyway, shout out to Josh Gates. I love that show, Destination Truth for life. People who know.
I'm not people who know.
Oh, sorry. Well, too bad for you. It's a great show, and Josh is awesome. Anyway, so he did a special a couple years back called Expedition Unknown, Hunt for Extraterrestrials, and he investigated a lot of stuff, interviewed a lot of people in different countries. And one of the places he stopped was Ruwa, Zimbabwe, and he actually went to Ariel Primary School to interview some of the students that grew up, right? So I think they should be in like their 30s now, or...
Yes, that's something I want to know. I'm like, where are these people now? What do they have to say for themselves?
Right. Okay, so we're going to go into that a little bit. So they sat around in a circle with Josh, and, you know, the interview starts with, okay, what can you guys tell me about that day? What do you remember? And that they said they were, you know, out playing, and then someone pointed and said, what's that? And they looked over. One of them actually saw 3 orbs shoot off in another direction before the main craft landed between the trees, which would connect with the other orbs, right, that people were seeing at the time. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so they describe the craft as long and flat and having slanted sides. So slanted on the side. Kind of like a dish covering, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how it had a strip of lights, and some say that they were blinking off and on. And then they see a humanoid with short arms and short legs appear on top of the craft. The eyes are dark and shiny and long and slanted. The nose is very small. The mouth seems like a slit. And they said they recall it feeling like it was 20 minutes, like they were just standing there forever looking at this thing, that it lasted forever. But in reality, it was just a few minutes.
We hear that a lot. We hear that a lot
yes.
with UFO stories.
Right. Or abduction stories about a loss or distortion of time. So I thought that detail was very compelling.
That's interesting. This is very interesting to me. And I wasn't in any camp, right? I'm not committing to any answer or anything. But as you said with your story about the log, like you fuck around, you make up some shit, it's fun and games, but you know that you're making up shit, or you're like turning something into a bigger story than it is, right? And you're able to reflect on that as an adult and acknowledge that. So
Yes.
it's very interesting to me that these adults, if they were like, okay, yeah, like in our curriculum we were talking about technology and how it's harming the planet, and we became activists, and we didn't really see UFO guys, like it just kind of got out of hand. It was just fun to think about. They would say something like that because
Right.
why? Like, what reason would they have to be committed to the bit at this point, right? So now
Exactly.
I'm not so much in the camp of kids making up shit, because kids are little shitheads who love to just do whatever the fuck. I'm more I'm more in the camp of like, I think these people saw something.
Well, right. And so why would these full-grown adults go on national TV to talk about this or be interviewed at all? And by the way, during the interview, they looked very uncomfortable. Like this was very difficult for them. But they, they fear and deal with judgment and condemnation and being called a liar, being looked at as crazy. Why would anyone want to come out and do this?
Yeah.
Some people, I think, out there want the attention.
It would be easier to say, yeah, it was a prank.
And I think they do to a lot of people, because they just, who's going to believe them?
Yeah.
Right. And actually, it's funny. Josh asked one of them, if you heard this story from someone else, would you believe them? And the guy laughed and said, no, probably not. No, no, I wouldn't.
Good question.
Right. And he's like, no, I probably wouldn't, but it did happen to us. And Josh asked them in the interview, do you think at all, like, there's any possibility that this could have been a prank or a hoax or faked or something? And it took them a while to answer, but one of the guys shook his head and said, no, it was just too vivid and too real. I think at some point we have to acknowledge that we saw aliens. That's what he said. They believe that it was extraterrestrial because it just seemed too far out of this world.
See, I'm still not outside of the camp of people fill in the blanks when they don't understand things. I'm still not outside of that camp, because something that does bother me about this interview with them as adults is a blank being filled in with, oh yeah, there were these orbs that somebody else talked about. But like, we didn't hear about the orbs when they were kiddos. So it's like, are you just applying? Because people do that all the time. Like, they hear stories and they are like, oh yeah, that's what happened, whether it's unconscious or whatever. So I don't like that, but I do think they saw something. Go on.
Yeah. I don't know, because all the stories were different. Some people were standing at different locations on the playground, and I think some of them looked towards it at different times. So I wonder if not everyone saw the same thing.
Yeah.
And so to me, and honestly, in the interviews, they could have mentioned orbs. I didn't see it, but I also didn't sift through everything.
That's true. And I mean, who knows? Fuck it. There are people editing everything. I'm editing this podcast. People edit stuff. Like, there's no reason necessarily in a news story to include every single interview. So we don't know for sure.
We don't know
if
that
orbs were mentioned. Okay, I retract my very angry statement. But it's something to think about. And I'm also curious. I'm curious about, when did you say you said, other people had sightings of weirdness or whatever. Was that after the school thing, simultaneous with, on both sides before and after, or what?
I believe it was before and after.
Okay, that's interesting. Because
So-
if it was after and like word had gotten out about like
Yeah.
a UFO was at the school, then I'm a little more skeptical. But if it's just kind of like stuff's going on, that is very interesting to me.
Within that week, within the country.
And didn't they say it was like 3 countries too? Like they listed several countries. Did they not?
I think so in that clip, but
Like bordering countries.
honestly, I think it gets a little convoluted at some point because apparently this kind of stuff happens in Africa. It's not just, and we'll get into that in a sec.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
that's all I'm going to say for now.
Color me intrigued.
And so one detail that I thought was interesting was after, the kids saw this thing, they were brought into an assembly at the school and were pretty much told, like reprimanded for lying. Like the teachers and staff were like, you guys are lying and making this up. And that's what I meant earlier when the kids felt hurt because they weren't believed. But they were all like, we saw this though. This was real. We're not lying to you. So to me, that's, I can understand like adults trying to be the voice of reason, trying to make sure that, these kids understand these kind of pranks are not okay in real life. Like it's not okay to do this type of thing. But at the same time, it's also very invalidating. And yeah, I think that makes me really upset because these poor kids, I believe they did see something and no one believed them and they were treated like liars, and that can be very painful.
Yeah.
So that irritates me personally.
To be fair to the teachers,
upset.
to be fair to the teachers, because
Yeah,
I've
whatever.
taught children, I just want to say, once you lose control of a group of kids, it is hard to rein it back in.
Yeah.
So
No,
I understand why
I do
they were
understand that.
panicked about a
They're just-
potential
yeah.
collective
Yeah.
hysteria.
That's true. They were just trying to gain some control back over the situation
Yeah,
and
they're
probably
trying to
just
do
calm
their
them
jobs.
down.
Exactly.
they're
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like,
it's
okay.
easy for kids to get worked to work each other up, whether
Yeah.
something is real or not. You know what I mean? So
And no one wants to see a kid scared.
yeah,
of
course.
Like,
Kids
they
are
were probably-
fainting. Everybody was scared, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Kids, adults, what is going on? We got to rein this the fuck in.
We got to rein this shit in.
Yeah, but clearly they had to take a hard stance to do so, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I
yeah.
mean, none of the teachers saw it though. So,
Yeah.
it was just the kids. And so, with our understanding of kids have vivid imaginations and like they're very fun, I guess, in that result. They're very playful.
They're creative.
They're creative.
Yeah.
I can understand why they reacted that way.
Yeah.
But guess what? This is not the only place in the world where this has happened.
What do you mean?
It's happened in a few other places. One of the most famous ones, even though it's a lot of people don't even know about it, is Westwall, Australia.
I don't know about this.
Okay, at approximate, and I took this from Wikipedia. So according to Wikipedia, at approximately 11 a.m. on Wednesday, April 6, 1966, students and a teacher from Westwall High School reported seeing a flying object described as a gray or silvery green saucer-shaped craft with a slight purple hue and about twice the size of a family car. According to the students, the object was descending, overflew the high school. So this is high school, not elementary like Ariel.
Okay.
And disappeared behind a stand of trees. Approximately 20 minutes later, the object reportedly reappeared, climbed at a very high speed, and departed towards the northwest. Some accounts describe the object as being pursued by 5 unidentified aircraft.
Interesting.
Yes, and we can do like a whole other episode on this, but a lot of the people in this incident felt threatened by the government afterwards to keep it quiet.
Ooh, I don't like that they were threatened by
I
the
don't like
government
that
if that's
either.
what happened,
But
but
the
that is very
story.
interesting.
Right. Okay, and then it happened also in a place called Broadhaven, Wales, UK, United Kingdom, at Broadhaven Primary School. 40 years ago, a class of pupils spotted a UFO in a field near their playground. And I didn't research too much about that one, but it was a pretty big deal. It's very similar to what happened with Westwell in Australia. And a lot of these stories seem to describe the crafts in a very similar way, and the beans also in a very similar way. So we can, if you guys want to hear more about that, we can go into another episode.
Yeah,
let us know. And so I guess that leads me to wonder why are, if these are extraterrestrials after all,
mm-hmm.
or even just government officials, if we're going down that path of conspiracy, what do they want? Why schools? Why young children?
Yeah.
Right?
One maybe could, if we're going into the extraterrestrial rabbit hole, maybe if they've been studying us for a while, they know that we don't fucking trust children. We don't like kids because they're always talking about stupid shit. It's boring and it's weird and they're making stuff up all the time. And they're like, this is the fucking spot. We need to change a tire or whatever spacecrafts have. And we're going to stop right fucking here because we know nobody's going to fucking believe them because they're dumb little babies. Maybe.
That's the most unique theory. That's like boss bitch energy from the extraterrestrials. Like, oh my god, we got to restart our computer system. Oh my god.
Yeah.
We just got to touch down. Okay, thank God it's a school.
Oh, thank God.
They're not going to believe it.
Perfect.
Oh my god. Yeah. But why would they come out and stand outside the craft?
That is a good question.
Just
that
to
is
be
a good
like,
question.
you know what? Might as well.
I guess
just...
you don't know much about spacecraft maintenance.
No. Or maybe they're out there because they're like, you know what? No one's going to believe him anyway. I need to feel seen right now. Somebody needs to see me. So we kind of discussed that it could be, the possibility of it being a hoax from the children,
mm-hmm.
and how, or, like a child's prank. Personally, I just don't think it's very likely.
It seems hard to coordinate, especially
Mm-hmm.
considering there's always a little snitch in class. There's always the one you're trying to have fun
Yes.
with your friends. And there's always one little goody two-shoes snitch who's like, teacher, I hate to break it to you, but everyone's bad except for me, and they're all lying. Because, like, it's a powerful spot to be in, to be able to, like, let the teacher know what the fuck is up, so...
That's true. And to keep the same story for
the
years
same
and years and years
story.
and years.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I would just say that there's very little reason for an adult to continue the bit as an adult. I mean, one could maybe make the argument, like, they've been called liars or whatever, and they really just don't like to be called a liar, so they're committed to it for that reason. But it's like, path of least resistance is just being like, okay, guys, you're right. Like, it was a prank. And that's not what they're saying.
Exactly.
So, something happened. I don't know what the fuck they saw. If they fucking saw something, who knows? But I think they encountered something. That seems clear.
The next theory would be mass hysteria.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have that definition off the top of your head? Or do you know what it is? Yeah, or like, do you have a good idea of what it actually is or how it works?
I mean,
because
I
didn't.
can explain it. I mean,
yeah, a lot of people claim to know, but I don't think most people know.
Yeah.
So, according to my favorite resource, Wikipedia, in sociology and psychology, mass hysteria is a phenomenon that transmits collective illusions of threats, whether real or imaginary, through a population and society as a result of rumors and fear. In medicine...
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Okay. In medicine, the term is used to describe the spontaneous manifestation or production of chemicals in the body of the same or similar hysterical physical symptoms by more than one person. So an example of mass hysteria would be like the witch trials.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or the dancing plague, which was like this thing back in 1518. Okay, so back
that sounds fun.
1518, I cannot pronounce this. Alsace. It was the Holy Roman Empire. Okay. It was part of that. Just to save my own ass from mutilating that word.
Look it up if you want to know where it is.
Yeah, Strasbourg, something part of the Holy Roman Empire at the time in 1518, where a bunch of people just started dancing uncontrollably for days and claimed that they could not stop dancing. And they got really sick and fucked up from doing that.
Oh
and,
my God.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you don't have the internet and you're just bored as fuck.
But, you know, that like spread to different individuals and who kind of felt like, oh my God, this is, you know, there's something about it that works with the chemicals in your body to make you think like, to make you almost convinced that you have this thing, and these symptoms kind of pop up, but it's psychological, really.
Yeah.
So a lot of these examples of mass hysteria seem to be very symptomatic, and it seems like there has to be a few things that take place in order to build up to that. And so to me, it sounds more like, as it said, rumors and kind of getting excitable about something and then kind of, you know, like confirmation bias, like seeing it in things, seeing it in places, and then kind of convincing yourself, because, you know, the human brain, we can really convince ourselves of stuff.
Oh yeah.
But to me, in a lot of these things, it takes some time. It takes some effort to do that.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, this seems a bit sudden.
Yes, it was. This thing lasted for a few minutes. There wouldn't have been enough time for, you know, rumors to spread within a few minutes. You know, all these kids noticed something or saw like a group of people looking at something and were like, what is that? And just looked over and they all saw very similar things. They didn't have to convince each other of what they were seeing. They just looked and saw it. So to me, that doesn't sound like mass hysteria.
Yeah.
Especially because there weren't really symptoms except for maybe that kid fainting. But not all the kids fainted. It would have to be the same thing. Yeah. No. So to me, it doesn't line up with mass hysteria. Although we should do an episode on mass hysteria, because there's some crazy paranormal stuff with mass hysteria cases, and I'd be so happy to go into that.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Audience, let us know. Hey, you, let us know if you want to hear an episode on that, because it's very interesting stuff.
Yes.
Okay. And then the next theory was the government cover-up conspiracy. Like it wasn't actual extraterrestrials. It was human beings dressed up in a suit, testing out new technology and not wanting people to know that it was us or like some other country. It's easier for people to believe and, you know, aliens, or not believe, but to think that that's crazy and not to believe it. So is it just some other country or our own countries doing that? So they keep their weapons or their new technology under wraps?
Interesting.
To me, honestly, I think it could be both.
Both of which?
It could be, some of it could be aliens, some of it could be fucking government people, because honestly, I mean, who really trusts the government? I'm sorry, but who does?
It's hard because, of course, I harbor distrust for the government. And obviously secrets are kept within the government. I also do think that most governments are, extremely incompetent. So that's when I sometimes have to like check myself and be like, how competent do we think the government is?
That's true. Like they're sneaky. They're sneaky AF. But are they smart enough to pull something like that?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it's hard to know. The extent of the sneakiness and the extent of the technology and the extent of the incompetence. I bet everyone in the government's like, kids are so fucking dumb, dude. Like, we're gonna fucking dress up like aliens, brother. We're gonna fucking land near the school. Nobody's gonna believe them.
Hey guys, want to traumatize some kids today?
Yeah, dude.
Let's do it. Yeah. I was bored anyway. Yeah. That's how they talk over there in the military.
Exactly,
Oh my God, you
yeah.
guys.
That's interesting, though. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure, I feel like my boyfriend Matt would have a lot to say about.
What do you think Matt would say?
That's why I'm not sure. I'm almost tempted to just like yell at him to be like, hey.
That'd be great.
Okay, let me see if I'll
Surprise
come over
interview
here.
with Matt. Are you going to
Yeah,
text
we
him?
can just have him interject and I'll cut it out if it's stupid.
Yeah, this whole episode that you didn't hear, what do you think about it? That you know
I
nothing
know that
about?
I know that he's talked about the government angle. He reads like all those documents and stuff, and he's like hella on Reddit, so he's got the facts.
Oh, I'm ready. We need Matt. Matt.
Matt.
He can't hear me, but you know what? I feel like my energy is getting to him. Matt.
Definitely.
Hey,
You're
Matt.
manifesting him. Law of attraction.
Oh, yeah, I can't try too hard. Okay. I would like Matt to come into this room, into
And
her
so
room.
it is.
And so it is. So we can interview him. Oh, my God. Ask and you shall receive.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, what's up?
So, can you come talk into the microphone? We're talking about the school in Zambia, 1994, the sighting of the UFO.
Ariel School.
He knows the name.
It's Zimbabwe. Yeah.
Zimbabwe. I'm sorry.
Zimbabwe. Yeah.
I thought they meant Zimbabwe, South Africa, Zambia, bordering. Also, I don't know.
That's correct.
Thank you. So, one of the theories, of course, is government testing stuff out or whatever. And so my question, I feel like you've talked to me about this before, but I can't remember anything that you've said about.
Oh, nice.
So, what are your thoughts on that sort of theory of like, it's government testing stuff, and maybe they're like, oh, the public will maybe interpret it as aliens, and nobody will believe them. Do you have a take on this, sort of?
Yeah, sort of.
Or move the mic.
I guess I have
Hello, Matt.
a couple of thoughts on it. So one, I mean, I think it's possible in certain cases. There's this thing called like infrasonics, which are like sounds that are too low in frequency for people to hear, and they're known to be able to cause certain effects in people that are very similar to some UFO like abduction cases, like disorientation.
Fainting?
Possibly. I don't remember all of them, but yeah, being disoriented or
Nightmares?
maybe nightmares. I think like hallucination, maybe the feeling of kind of like paralysis that some people feel, like they can't move.
Time freezing.
Possibly time freezing as well. Yes. So I think that's certainly possible that government has tested that kind of stuff on people. I mean, the government has tested things on people in the past that we at the time didn't know they were doing. Yeah, so I guess that's my main thought on that. I don't personally necessarily think every single case is a case of the government testing something, but I do think it's possible, I guess, to answer your question.
What are your general thoughts on this specific case? Do you have any thoughts?
On the Ariel School?
Yes.
I am inclined to believe or inclined to think that the kids did experience something.
Me too.
Me three. You can't hear me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't see why it would necessarily be government testing something. Also because, like I said, with the infrasound, a lot of the stuff with that is usually like more of the feeling like you can't move and all of these kinds of things that people have experienced before in certain like abduction situations. And this is more like children saw stuff. The other thing, I think that they did see something. I think the Harvard psychologist that went and interviewed all the kids I think some of the ways that he went about it, I think some of his questions were not necessarily leading, but he definitely, I think, was a little biased in the way he approached them, which kind of taints some of the results maybe. But I do think they experienced something, and I think it's possible they saw things, entities, I don't know. I mean, they all sort of described the same thing, which is what's really weird, you know, and they all sort of drew stuff that was pretty much the same. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you so much. That was amazing.
She says, thank you. That was amazing.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Matt.
So sweet.
So that is interesting about the ultrasonics, whatever. But it doesn't sound like it's necessarily relevant to this specific case.
I like that he brought that up because a lot of these abductions that could possibly be our own government or, these encounters that could possibly be government seem to have, what did he say? What was that? What's the noise he said it's called?
Infrasonics? God, I can't even remember what he said. He was just
I think
here.
that's correct. That they seem to have similar symptoms, like physical symptoms. And so since we're not seeing too much of that in this case, I'm inclined to agree that it's probably not government.
Yeah.
You know, even if if that stuff exists out there, I don't think this one has anything to do with that.
Yeah.
So
it would be a very strange case if it were government related. Yeah, it's hard to fathom.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like a lot of these UFOs that the government is releasing, the footage of, they seem to be less crafty and more like droney. Mm-hmm. In my humble opinion, or like they've been talking about triangles, like seeing triangles in the sky. And a project that was apparently scrapped by the United States of America was this craft called TR-3A Black Manta. And it just looks like a black triangle in the sky, pretty much. Let me send this over to you so you can take a look. It's just a Google image search.
Hell yeah. Oh. Is this just like a fake image, or is this like...
So the existence of these are denied.
Okay.
Right.
There's like, this is what it might look like, assuming that it's actually real and not just speculation.
Right. And so this is the picture I want you to focus on.
Oh, this is different. Yeah. Over like a skyline.
Yeah, the green picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the kind of
the fidget spinner.
Right, the fidget spinner. That's the one that they're claiming to be seen, but it really lines up with a black manta, right? Or some type of U.S. thinking that was happening at some point, that they deny exists. So are the U.S. just like fucking with us? Like to me, my point was, if this was a U.S. craft, at least, I don't know about Russia or China or any other country, but if it was a U.S. one, I would think theirs would be more triangular rather than this cigar-shaped thing with like a flat bottom and slanted sides. That's what it seems to me. That's one of the reasons why I don't think that this is government. There are some reports that some of the children saw like blacked, scorched earth where the thing was, where it took off from. And it's really strange because I believe it was Broadhaven, maybe even Australia as well, West Wall, I'm not really sure. But they also reported seeing scorched earth where it was.
Who reported? The kids or...
I believe it was the
teacher.
Else.
Okay, because it's like you'd think somebody would maybe investigate the area, see if anything seems amiss.
No, in Westwall and Broadhaven, the teachers actually witnessed the events.
Oh.
So we can go into it in another episode because I need to do more research on it as well. But I do know that. I'm pretty darn sure. And, if I'm incorrect, please somebody reach out. I'm willing to be wrong. But just based on what I've read and seen, that seems to be true. It's interesting that this case is the most well documented, but I don't think any adults saw what the kids saw in this case.
Yeah.
But the fact that across these school sightings, the crafts seem very similar in description, but it's very interesting. One thing I did want to mention is that sometimes people believe that with UFO sightings, there's usually radiation left around the area. Like with, I don't know if you've ever heard of Travis Walton and his famous abduction. Okay, he's very interesting. Have you ever seen that movie Fire in the Sky?
Maybe.
Okay, so that one's based on Travis, and there was apparently a lot of radiation found in the area. But with this case in Ariel's school, they did take, I believe it's called a Geiger counter or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they took one out there and didn't pick up any radiation.
Oh, bummer.
So that, yeah, I know that would have been interesting, huh? But they didn't. So,
I mean, radiation can be caused by all sorts of things.
Right. But higher levels of it in a concentrated area where it shouldn't, there's no reason, no obvious reason for it to be, that would be interesting. But I will say the Geiger counter that they did use, the detector, was homemade.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, one of the people on the team made that detector. So, maybe there could have been something off and there was radiation in the area. I don't know. But yeah, I think to conclude, personally, I don't think this was government. I don't think it was kids making it up. I definitely don't think it was mass hysteria. I do believe that the kids saw something. I don't know what exactly it was, but I don't know. Is it crazy to say that I think it was most likely extraterrestrial? I think it was, personally.
There are certainly crazier things you could say, I think.
What do you think?
I didn't think I was gonna feel this way, but because I'm ready to doubt children anytime they say anything to me. But
oh my god.
I can't help but feel like they saw something. I don't know what. Part of the reason why I have some difficulties with UFO stories or abduction stories is the fact that we can't escape the reality that in popular culture we do have imagery of gray aliens, flying saucers, whatever. It's bothersome. I wish that weren't the case, but I always kind of have to consider that when I hear these stories and when I see that being duplicated. I mean, chicken and the egg, maybe we see that all the time because it's real AF. I don't know. But that's why I'm not explicitly saying, like, I think they saw aliens. I think they saw a spacecraft. I think they saw something. I could never conclusively say what, obviously. Do I want it to be aliens? Obviously, I fucking want it to be aliens because I want to be one of those children at the school and I want to have seen the alien. Okay? I deserve to have seen an alien. But that's not my reality. And so if I don't get to have it, nobody gets to have it. And that's why I will not say conclusively that they saw aliens. I think it's possible.
Wow. Jealous bee energy. Jealous bitch right here. Well, I mean, also, would you actually have wanted to see it, though? Like, to live with that knowledge of, and I don't know, just people not believing you, feeling like you can never talk about it? You would have
that's fine. I don't care. I want first contact. I don't give a shit. I'll do anything. Anything you guys fucking want. Aliens, if you're listening, anything you want, I will do it.
But I not anything.
Wait. You don't know.
Julianne's losing it. Hold on. Not anything.
Okay, fine, whatever. Not anything. I'm not in the camp of thinking it's most likely kids working themselves up. That's where I started. That's not where I've ended up.
Nice.
I think they saw something. I don't know what, but aliens is within the possibility, I believe. The realm of possibility.
Yeah, I think that's a very balanced viewpoint. And I think
balanced.
I'm right there with you. I think I'm just more like, rip the Band-Aid off. I'm pretty sure it's fucking aliens, you know? Like, for me, I'm just like, come on. You know, sometimes it's like Occam's razor.
If you take the evidence at face value, it's hard to imagine it being anything else. So, I feel that. You writing an email? What are you doing?
No, I'm making sure I just pronounced that right. My point was, I think it's a possible case of Occam's razor.
What's that?
It's pretty much like the simplest explanation is what it is.
Yeah. No, I think that's a very valid principle or whatever you want to, philosophy, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's just not my opinion on that.
Yeah.
But
fair enough.
You know, we're going to leave it up to you guys to come to your own conclusion on that. But what an interesting set of events, right?
Very interesting.
And to think that most people don't even know about this event and that it happened and that this thing was all over the news and people came and interviewed these children. That is just too bizarre. That's just too bizarre. And so I guess that's it. We talked about the theories. We talked about what happened. And that was episode 1.
I loved it. Because I've never heard this one before. I've heard of it. I've not actually heard any of the details. I don't know why. So thank you for sharing this with me.
And it's so easy just to discount. But to, like, again, I know we mentioned this earlier, but just seeing the kids talking about it, seeing the footage and like their body language, the expressions on their faces, like the tone of their voice, it doesn't sound like they're lying to me. So next episode is going to be Julianne's episode.
That's true.
Yeah. I can't even remember.
Good. Mine is a story, I think I consider it a popular story. I think a lot of people do know about it. Maybe I'm wrong. The people who know it love it. I was shocked but delighted that you don't know it, and I can't wait to share it with you because it's very interesting.
I'm so excited. And also, guys, in our introduction episode, we mentioned that we're going to have an interview at the end of the season, which we still are.
Correct.
But we are currently working on another interview for this season as well, maybe towards like the middle or something. So that's really exciting. I'm pretty sure that's happening, but keep listening. We're really excited to keep going with this, and we really appreciate you listening today.
Yes, and please, again, if you have a story that you want to share, you want the people to know, email us at I'm scared but I like it @gmail.com. Let us know. It can be anonymous. That's fine. Let us know what your pronouns are. Let us know what you want us to say, and we'll say it.
We will. Or you could also message us on Instagram or Facebook.
True.
Also, please follow us there because we are the only people following us right now. And we would love to start having some convos, you know, have like a little community going.
Yes, please.
That would just be such a dream. I don't know. I guess, is that it?
I think that's it.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Until next time, guys.
Stay scared and stay liking it.
Yeah, we gotta come up with like a closing statement, don't we?
I don't have one.
We hope you're scared and we hoped you liked it.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay, let's close with that. Until next time, guys. Oh, what did I say?
We hope you're scared and we hope you liked it.
Okay. Until next time, guys. We hope you're scared and we hope you liked it. Bye.
Peace out, bitches. I'll cut that out. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.